UFOs over Ukraine during the conflict time. Now, supposedly these pictures here are of a UFO that's been flying around for a couple of hours over Ukraine during this conflict. Now, there are also reports that UFOs were been attacking Russian soldiers. Now, I find that highly dubious that they're attacking soldiers, because it means A, the aliens would be taking sides, which is something they've never done before. B, killing a few soldiers isn't going to change the outcome of the conflict. So if a UFO is attacking Russian soldiers, then it's more than likely a back-engineered human UFO as opposed to an alien UFO. Now, UFOs witnessing conflicts isn't new, because way back in World War II, there were what they called Foo Fighters that monitored what was going on with the wars. So it's totally plausible that there are UFOs flying around Ukraine. Some UFOs use super-cooled metal, like mercury, that span round using magnets, which creates this frictionless environment, which allows the anti-gravity. Now, source, trust me, bro, people, hold on to your papers, because scientists now are at the point where they can almost create absolute zero. So what's that got to do with anything? Well, at near absolute zero, liquid helium becomes frictionless and becomes a superfluid. Bear that in mind, because when you scroll down to their scientific papers, you'll see that they can actually, with supercooled metals and helium and possibly mercury, they can get weightlessness for up to 17 seconds, which is basically anti-gravity. Thus, we go back to there. Trust me, bro. I dropped the mic. And if you're interested in what I do, please feel free to visit my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. And I've got longer videos that you can't see anywhere else on my Patreon. Many of you know me as the guy that talks about the Anunnaki, but I also talk about dreams, blood types, spirits, Bigfoot, aliens, and so much more. You can watch my videos in order from 1 onwards, or go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, and watch them in sets of 50. Anunnaki, aliens, or humans built the Great Pyramid, I'll let you decide. So this is an aerial shot of the pyramid, shows it's got 8 sides. You can only see this from above, and it's during the equinox, so they're pretty clever if whoever did that. Now, it's also aligned perfectly to the 4 cardinal points, which is north, east, south, and west, which is pretty impressive considering they weren't looking at a whole map from above. Now, this is a shot showing just some of the ley lines around the world with all the monuments based on them. We know a ley line is a power grid, and as you see here, as soon as it intersects with a particular another ley line, that's exactly where these special monuments all around the world are. And this is a fake cartouche that was now proven to be fake to show that it was Khufu's. Now we know it's not Khufu's. It means it's a lot older than the dates that were given. Now, also, there is no proof. People say, oh, there's tens of thousands, 100,000, millions of people worked to build it. There's no evidence at all of any amount of settlements near here at all. This is an Egyptian Stonehenge. No, it's not. It's actually the UK Stonehenge. But the Independent and Times newspaper write this: mystery of the Stonehenge solved as ancient Egyptians used it for solar calendars. Expert claims. Now, anyone that's watched my videos know that I've already said this, and this was dated a couple of days ago. It's the 12th today. I've already done videos on it, and I've been saying this since the 80s. So this expert, whoever's just figured this out, needs to come and talk to me. So the reason, they don't even know why the Egyptian calendar, but I'll explain why. So even though I've already done this in other videos, so Enlil's time was coming to an end in the constellation, his constellation, and it was going to change over to Marduk stroke Ra, Egyptian sun god Ra, which was one of the same people, Marduk. And Enlil didn't want that, and he wanted to prove to the people that Ra was telling that it's going to be Ra's time. So Enlil got Ninurta, his son, to go around and build Stonehenges, which was calendars, so that the Egyptians and everyone else around the world would know it's still Enlil's time. However, Enlil was actually wrong. It was coming up to Marduk's point, but that's beside the point. Now, I cover this in a previous video where I actually prove that this was connected to the Book of Enki. If you don't know what I'm on about, Book of Enoch. If you don't know what I'm on about, please go and watch my previous videos, preferably in order, because they make so much more sense. Thank you. And yes, you feel free to call me an expert. Can someone help me out? Am I missing something here? I had a pilot on my live chat the other day, and he said that he believes the Earth's flat. So I said, no problem at all. Just go in any direction in your plane, take a picture of it from the edge. And of course he didn't. But the point is, every time someone says it's flat Earth, I say, where's the edge? And they can't answer that. But now, to get round that, in my opinion, they've now come up with Norb's theory. So if you just watch this little video here, it basically shows that instead of there being a flat Earth, they've now added ice wall round one part, then another bit of Earth that no one can see, then another bit of Earth that no one's ever seen, and then they wrap it all up in a dome. So you've got that. Now, to me, it kind of seems like every time I ask for the edge of the Earth, they've now concocted, I might be wrong, but they've now concocted this whole new ice sheet thing, and then another land and another land. Of course, if no one's ever seen it, how do...
What's going on, friends and fam? So lately I've been scrolling through my For You page and I've been seeing a lot of my brothers and sisters sharing pictures like this one. And pictures like this, essentially depicting a race of melanated extraterrestrial beings who came down and created mankind. Naturally, I did a little bit of digging, and these are the depictions and the ideas from a book called The Holy Tablets, written by a Mr. Malachi Z. York. This gentleman. Now, before I get started, I already know I'm going to get a whole lot of flack because there are a lot of people who still believe in what this man said to this day, still believe in his teachings and the things that he told them. So I'm well aware. I'm well aware of that. However, I do believe that the truth conquers all things. So that's why I'm here today. And the views and opinions expressed by Stony Chills are those exclusively of Stony Chills, no one else. So with that said, let's continue. So Mr. Malachi Z. York founded the Nubian nation in...
So I'm just replying to this person about flat Earth. Now, flat earthers believe that this rim, is Antarctica, and it goes all the way around the planet, and it's an ice sheet that you can fly over, but they don't. So the argument is that NASA and Americans, military, stop anyone, no matter where they are on the 24,000 miles round. They somehow magically stop them on a boat or a plane to go off and over the edge. Now, my argument is, well, what happened when NASA wasn't around? What happens when the America wasn't the military might that it is now? Prior to that, there was people that Russians didn't get on with Americans, and Germany didn't get on with people. So all these other countries that could have quite easily bumped into the ice wall at any point, if you believe there's an ice wall. But no one's ever said that. Otherwise, we'd have maps showing this. So this was regarding me asking for the picture of the edge of a flat Earth, and this person saying that I keep saying the same thing, asking for the edge, but he's now saying to me, show me a picture of the planet. Now, we know NASA lie. No, I think everyone kind of agrees with that. So the problem there is when NASA lies, flat earthers, for example, believe that everything NASA says is a lie. So this person's asked him for a picture of the planet. Now, it's easier, wait for it, it's easier for anyone to go to the edge of a flat Earth than it is to go into space. There's 9 billion of us at the moment that could go to any edge. There's only a handful that can actually get into space. So stop asking people to go into space, because that's really difficult. But anyone can go to the edge. Anyone at all. Just grab a boat, plane, and you're there. But spaceships are harder to get. So please, show me the edge. Show me the money! This may interest you, if you don't already know. So this is the temple of Seti in Abaddos in Egypt. Now, what makes that special? Well, it's actually got what they call a king's list on there. Now, this is all the kings that were pharaohs over the dynasties, but there may be one or two missing. We don't know, because obviously we're only going by what's actually been put down here. Now, this is actually what it looks like as a real wall with the actual hieroglyphs on. Now, that king's list, you can actually go and look and break down. You've watched my other videos. If not, please go back and watch how I show you what a cartouche is and what makes it a cartouche. So you can then break down with the king's list who was there and what period, because it's in order. So quite important that, because that then leads up to who did what later on in Egypt. I thought I'd mention a few things you may not know about the Great Pyramid. So Dr. Zahi was the head of antiquities in Egypt for the longest time, and he called the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid the so-called King's chamber, and that's because he knew no bodies were ever buried there, and he knew it wasn't a tomb, because tombs are tombs, not a pyramid is not a tomb. So this is what the King's Chamber is. It's up there, and there's a Queen's Chamber there. However, that's just the name that people gave. Now, inside the King's Chamber is this granite box. Now, this granite box is 2.5 by 1.5 cubits, which just so happens to be the same size as the Ark of the Covenant. Now, also be wary of people showing lids. There was never a lid shown to the box at all. No writing was ever found in the Great Pyramid, and funny enough, the pyramid was built to have a light coming up from it, and Las Vegas has a hotel that is shaped in a pyramid with a light coming up. Coincidence? I've had a few followers that's asked who were the Anunnaki, so I just thought I'd very quickly go through it. This is obviously not an Anunnaki, this is from the film Aliens or Alien. So the Anunnaki are a race of white powdered skin. I know people say they're black, but I asked for proof, but there's never any proof, but the tablets say white or pale skin. So anyway, they're 8 foot plus, and they live on a planet called Nibiru. We know this because of the ancient stone tablets, their own tablets in their own writing. We call it cuneiform, but it's actually their race names writing, which is the Elohim. So they came to Earth about 450,000 years ago. These tablets were found in the 1800s in Mesopotamia, which is Iraq, Iran area. And these tablets were found in the 1800s and described planets in our solar system that we didn't even find out until 100 years after we'd already found these tablets. So clearly they knew what they was talking about. However, you will find that, such as this website here called space.com and NASA and a few other sites, will try and debunk this whole Nibiru thing, because obviously once you realise there's aliens out there, it changes the game because of free petrol and, you know, free energy and all this kind of stuff. So this is from space.com. A planet with an orbit so eccentric, as if like, so it says here it took 3,600 years to orbit the sun. That is what Nibiru does. It takes 3,600 years to orbit the sun. It's actually called a Shah. That's what the Elohim call it, or or Anunnaki, if you want to know their name that they was given when they came to Earth. So look, so eccentric. Basically, that's trying to say, no such thing. However, Sedna planet has 11,000 year orbit confirmed by NASA. So I'm just trying to prove to you that people do. So this carries on and says, well, it should have crashed, the planet should have crashed into Earth 2012. No, it shouldn't. I don't know where they've got that idea from, but the only thing I can think of is that it was from the Mayan calendar. Now, the Mayan calendar ended in 2012, but the only reason why it ended in 2012, please God, am I the only person on this planet that's actually worked out that when you have a calendar, you kind of have to have an end date, regardless. So they had an end date because it finished. Otherwise it would have gone on for infinity, and they would have had, you know, a massive stone wall typing it all out, and oh geez. So basically they put a date in the future. Where's your calendar end? If you've got a calendar, where's it end? It probably ends the end of this year, because that's what we've done, but they've done it there. So the Anunnaki created us in their image. It says so in the tablets, and I'll carry on with my Egyptians. Go back and watch from video 1 onwards. You'll understand so much more. Thank you. Hi, I'm super excited to tell you about Our True History's card game coming out soon, and it's 2 to 5 players. And I have done card games and various different things like this before, and they've been successful, but I've based this one on Our True History, which is based on the videos that I do. So if I just run through quickly, so for example, that's 3 defense, 9 attack, and that's your friend's icon. Now, if you've got another card in your pack, which this one has, so for example, these two you can team up and attack. But the special move, each one's got a different special move. Now this one's break the friend's attack. So if someone's attacking you, you can actually break their attack as a team, as those two there were trying to attack you, for example. And I've based it on different types of creatures for Our True History. So it's coming soon. I hope you like this. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you. Over the next few videos, you may change the way you look at life. Now, I'm going to be showing you things that no one else has shown you before. Just like I did with Atlantis, I've shown that who was in Atlantis. Now, that actually comes into this same story here that I'm talking about now, which is all to do with Thoth. Now, Thoth was an Egyptian god, also known as Ningazida and Hermes. Now, Thoth created a series of tablets called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Now, supposedly there's 10, but we've only really been allowed to see 8 of them. 2 of them are not allowed to be seen for whatever reason. Maybe they're holding some more information that we don't know. Now, these tablets are really important because what it does is it proves to us that the Anunnaki are not with spirit. In other words, they don't have, when they first came here, they didn't even know about spirits. Now, these tablets, I'm running out of time. Watch the next video, really important. The Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Now, supposedly this was made using an alchemical transmutation, which means the atomic and cellular levels are static as opposed to a fluctuation like you do get with atoms that are bouncing around, which makes it unbreakable, apparently. These 8 tablets, 10 if you include the 2 that we're never going to be allowed to see, which probably give away a lot more information than these tablets do. Now, I don't know whether they're unbreakable or not. I've not seen them up close to smash them, to try and break them. But the most important part of these tablets is the fact that the tablets describe the light beings, which if you've watched my previous videos from 1 onwards, you'll know that I talk about light beings, which are spirits, souls, whatever you want to call them. These tablets also talk about that, and they say things like light among men, and that means that's the light coming into us humans. And lies, truth, infamy, they've got it infamy. Now, the reason why I say lies is because of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Now, anything that I say here on in regarding the Emerald Tablets of Thoth do take with a large dollop of salt. And the reason why I say that is because, let's for example look at this. It was supposedly written in Arabic and then translated to Latin, so we never actually get to see the original tablet, so we don't actually know, but we assume it's translated because all we see is the Latin version. However, there was a person called Dr. Michael Durrell who supposedly translated it from the tablets from Atlantean into English, which is pretty impressive because there's no other, as far as I'm aware, there's no other Atlantean language out there, and that then means that he would have been able to magically translate without a Rosetta Stone or something like that. So that's pretty impressive, and that's sad because there's a website out there or YouTube channel that deals with all these subjects, and unfortunately they quoted that the texts were in Atlantean originally, which unfortunately, in my opinion, is a big no-no. Now, the reason why it's another no-no is, and I'll tell you that after this quick interlude. Now, TikTok, I've got 600 plus videos at the moment, and it's really hard for you lot to scroll down to watch from number 1 because people have said it is. Now, if you like my videos, then when you go to your profile, you just click this button here, and it brings up all the ones that you've liked, so you don't have to scroll all the way down, and you know which ones you've watched. So it will show you the last liked video there, the one that before that. So if you've watched 10 of mine, for example, the 10th one would be here, the 9th one, and so on. So it's a lot easier to find. Okay, so going back to the Tablets of Thoth. Now, supposedly, Thoth was an Atlantean, but we know Thoth as Ningazida, which was an Anunnaki. So if he did go to Atlantis, and then Atlantis sank, which is written in the tablets, and that he actually got warned, I'm going to give spoiler alerts here, but they were warned to leave Atlantis, which is exactly what I say already in my other previous videos about Atlantis. But he supposedly wrote these tablets while he was Hermes. Now, if you know, Hermes was the Greek god. Now, why didn't he write them in Greek? Why didn't he write them in the Egyptian? Why did he, and why not cuneiform? Why Atlantean? There's a huge time difference between Atlantis and Greece. So I struggle. So keep watching because I will keep going through the book. Did you know the real Indiana Jones, Dr. Zahi Hawass, who was the head of antiquities in Egypt, was caught up in a couple of scandals, which is why they sort of forced him to retire. And allegedly he was possibly selling antiquities that he shouldn't be selling. making a profit. And he's also was caught up in a scandal where 3 Germans were trying to take some paint off of the cartouche in the Great Pyramid to find out whether it was fake or not. And subsequently down the line, we did find out that it was fake. But I don't think Zahi was involved in that part of it, because I think he would rather it be Khufu's pyramid, so that way it stops all people thinking that it was built by aliens. Now, the problem was back in 2010 when Zahi was removed, the tourism in Egypt went right down, so they was trying to find ways of bringing him back. I had someone say on a previous video that the Emerald Tablets of Thoth are in a museum. So these are the unbreakable, physics-defying, the hardest rock known to man on this planet are sitting in a museum. And I kind of replied saying, well, if you think that, I've got some fresh air I can tell you. Military would not allow... Okay, if you don't know why the military would be interested in these and just letting them sit in a museum, then my videos are probably not for you. But they also say that there's more than 10 tablets, because I said 10. There's translations work out more than 10, but originally there was 10. So now Thoth himself supposedly in the book come from Atlantis. Now I'll cover that because I'm running out of time in the next video.
Chapter 1. The really Big Bang. The vast emptiness of space, a void interrupted only by spheres of energy swirling around the nothingness. The vibrating orbs glow with great power coursing through them. Some move quickly, and some move slowly. With each one zooming across the cold vacuum of space, it was only a matter of time before they would collide to create the known universe. Time froze as 2 orbs collided. What began with seemingly no purpose or deliberate intention suddenly became a spark of inspiration that ignited life in a single moment. An almighty light emanated from their points of contact, and shock waves rippled far and wide. Echoes of the waves are still remnant throughout our universe to this day, continuously expanding the universe to infinity. Over billions of years, space energy solidified and merged to create stars, planets, and eventually our own Earth, where the sun has just set over a dilapidated town on the outskirts of London. Peter, a worn man in his mid-30s, sat on the bottom step of his staircase holding a battered grey phone to his ear. Way up in the sky, unbeknownst to anyone below, was a person falling, gaining speed as the ground approached fast. It was a man wearing just a t-shirt and jeans, with no parachute. A sudden bang outside disturbed his concentration, which forced him to prop himself up on his chair. Peter fumbled for the controller, muted the television, then waited in an uneasy silence. He went to open the front door for one final check of what the loud bang was, but as he did, a man that must have been leaning against it falls in as the door opens, pushing Peter backwards in the hallway. The stranger fell at Peter's feet. Startled and alarmed, Peter rushed to his kitchen, grabbed his mobile phone and a plastic gun. As he ran back into the hallway, Peter saw the man crawling slowly into his sitting room. "Hey, stop right there!" It sounded feeble even to Peter. The strange man continued crawling at the same pace, steadily, despite holding his side and grimacing in pain. Peter attempted to put a bit more authority in his voice. "Get out of my house, please!" The stranger reached the sofa and lifted himself up, allowing Peter to finally catch a glimpse of his face. Every detail from the forehead lines to birthmarks lined up with his own. He found himself staring directly into what seemed to be his own reflection. The blue eyes, the nose, lips. The only difference Peter could see at first glance was the lack of glasses. "Who are you? Why are you here? Why do you look like me? Are you a clone?" The stranger stared at Peter in silence. I'll call the police." "The gun is not real," he said, "and your phone battery is dead." Peter stared in wide-eyed silence as the man slowly lay himself down on the sofa, with his back facing Peter. "They'll think you're losing your mind." The man rolled onto his side to meet Peter's gaze. "You'll get locked away and miss the journey."
Hello everyone, welcome to my new website. But the beauty of the website is you can find the videos in one go, straight away, sets of 5 or sets of 50. And you just click on it and scroll down, and they're all there in order, so it says scrolling back on other platforms. There's also the podcasts, which don't worry if you've not got Apple or Spotify or any of these, just keep scrolling down and the live chats are all there for you to listen to. But if you're interested in finding out even more stuff, new stuff, I've got a Patreon page which basically will allow you to have live chats with me. I put on there already videos and stuff like that, stuff to do with my films as well that I make. So Patreon will have a lot more new content than the website. So if you are interested in actually having new content and live chats with me, feel free to come onto my page. One of the translations of the Emerald Tablets of Thoth is that Thoth will come from Atlantis. Now, if you watch my previous videos, you know that there's a bit of a discrepancy there. So anyway, let's go along with the lines that he was from Atlantis. Now, he was Thoth in Egypt, but he wasn't Thoth in Atlantis. He would have been Ningazida, which would have been Marduk's brother from the Anunnaki side. Now, that's fine because that makes sense. Now, he states that the island he was on was a circular one, which is fine because I already suggested that it was an Anunnaki settlement because the Anunnaki built their cities in circles. So he was warned off. Now, it says it in the actual Emerald Tablets that he needs to leave his island before it gets sunk. And it was sunk because the Anunnaki used their weapons of terror and destroyed it. So he then went to Egypt and became... We have to go back to the original source. We can't trust someone from the 1900s who wrote a book about Lemurians, etc., etc. And sadly, we can't trust people that sit in armchairs, close their eyes and tell us about Lemurians and blue people and things that we cannot verify. So we have to go back to the original text. And the original text talk about basically the Anunnaki creating cities in circles. Now, this is supposedly what Atlantis looks like. And this is what a Mesopotamian city looks like. In other words, the Anunnaki city. So I think the only researchers that actually put these two together. So now the ancient texts talk about Atlantis as in an advanced race. Now the advanced race is compared to the Egyptian who they were talking to about leaving Atlantis and going to Egypt. So it's not an advanced race as in an alien race. It was the Anunnaki. So I'm going to go through a brief description of what the Tablets of Thoth are now in this video, but after that I'm going to be going deep into the Tablets of Thoth, where some of the information I believe no one else has actually pulled out of it. So you might be in for some good stuff. Now, basically the Tablets of Thoth, I've already mentioned that Thoth has made them supposedly, and he was also Ningazida as an Anunnaki. Now, the tablets talk about Thoth being able to go in and out of the spirit world, or the halls of Amenti, as they call them, and he could actually also see the light beings flying around in the halls of Amenti, where they were joining with little people, which are humans, and then when people die, they leave them. But what's also interesting, which I don't think anyone else has ever mentioned, is the Council of Aliens that I will be talking about in this tablets, and how the light beings first appeared ever. Keep watching. I said I would do some videos on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and what's actually inside them and what it means from my point of view. So I'll read out some passages. This is early on in the book. Wise were we with the wisdom of the children of light who dealt among us. Now, the children of light is the light beings that I mentioned before. Strong were we with the power drawn from the eternal fire. Now, I will get to how the eternal life that they have got came into play. And of all these, greatest among the children of men was my father, Thothim, keeper of the great temple, link between the children of light who dwelt within the temple and the races of men who inhabited the 10 islands. So basically what they're talking about there is the light beings and humans. 700 videos, and I have to say thank you to you guys. You guys are wonderful. Now, moving forward, I know people were asking me more videos, which I am doing. But in the meantime, if you want to go to my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk, you'll see the videos are there. So if you don't want to scroll back all the way on TikTok, all the way back to number 1, you can just find them a lot easier on ourtruehistory.co.uk. There's podcasts as well. But if you are interested in stuff that's not anywhere else, visit me on my Patreon page, which is Our True History I've got some followers at the moment, so thank you for those. But there's videos there on the Patreon that's not anywhere else. And I'm keep adding to it. So look here, what the talks about things that's I've not said anywhere else. So it's some good stuff if you are interested. And that's my Patreon page. But either way, thank you very much, and I'll continue doing videos on